What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time very excited to bring you some news about the announcement of Owlcat Games' next CRPG, which just so happens to be Warhammer 40k Dark Heresy. This was literally just announced right as I'm recording this at the Warhammer 2025 Skulls event, which is an event where they talk about all the upcoming video game releases for Warhammer, of course. Now, a little bit previously to this, a couple days ago, in fact, I was sent a bit of a teaser in the form of like a code wheel that had a secret message about the Night Lords. This is what that was in relation to, as the Night Lords will play a key factor in this. Now, as this has just been announced, I'm collating some information from a bunch of different places, a sort of press fact sheet that they sent out as the announcement happened, the Steam page, stuff like that. So keep in mind we'll learn more about this as we go. But before we dive into that, just a quick side note, just to throw it in here somewhere, they also announced at the same time that Rogue Trader, their other Warhammer CRPG, is also getting a second season of DLC as well, and that Lex Imperialis will be coming out in June. So more to cover there as well, but for now we're going to focus on Dark Heresy. Dark Heresy puts us in the role of an inquisitorial agent leading an investigation in the Calixis sector. Now, much like Rogue Trader, this is actually based on a tabletop game of the same name, Dark Heresy. Now, I would imagine, much like Rogue Trader, we can expect some deviations and changes as appropriate to fit their game, but I imagine the reason they chose this one in particular is that the rule set is very similar to Rogue Trader's. Meaning that, in a very similar way that Wrath of the Righteous built on and improved from Kingmaker, we can probably expect much the same here with Dark Heresy taking that core rule set and then improving on it and adapting it to what they want to do here. So, as usual, expect a party-based, story-driven CRPG. It does look like they confirmed that this is turn-based over on their Steam page where they mention it. More on that in a moment. It also looks like they're bringing forward the online co-op of Rogue Trader as well. So those are certainly some important details. Now, this is party-based, so as we conduct investigations, which, by the way, they mention is an involved system that will see you doing things like interrogating suspects, making choices about how to approach each investigation, and even potentially uncovering hidden conspiracies. So it looks like they are attempting to put a pretty big emphasis on these investigations specifically, and we'll obviously have to see how that pans out, but it looks like it's going to be a big part of this. As an Inquisitor, our goal is to, of course, get to the bottom of various heresies. Now, our bigger goal seems to, of course, involve the Night Lords alongside the Tyrant Star. So the Tyrant Star is a sort of a stellar anomaly often found in the Calixis sector, as you would expect, and basically it's a black dwarf star whose arrival is seen as a herald of catastrophe and disaster, as you might expect, because where it shows up, trouble is soon to follow. So at the very least, it seems like that's going to play a role as a sort of main plot point, probably. But we are not fighting alone, so they have given us a little bit of information about the potential companions, some stuff you would expect. A Medicae, a Guardsman, an Ogren shock trooper, but they also specifically mention a few Xenos that we can potentially recruit, which is something the Inquisition can do, but obviously they aren't exactly looked on fondly. But much like Rogue Trader allows you to explore the moral and societal implications of consorting with Xenos, it looks like Dark Heresy plans to do much of the same and allow you to see that through the lens of the Inquisition. In particular, though, they mention a Kroot Huntress and an Eldari Psyker. These companions will be fully voiced. They've talked about that a lot recently in just various updates, but they did make it clear here as well that this will be their first CRPG that utilizes full voice acting, so that should be a pretty big step up for them as well. Now, in terms of combat, as I mentioned, it does look like they are going full turn-based here as well, which makes no surprise coming from Rogue Trader with the rule set and everything. But they did mention on their Steam page a couple of changes, primarily targeting enemy weak points alongside individual party member morale. So Rogue Trader used a more like party-wide momentum system that was kind of like morale, but here it looks like this is going to be a more individual thing where morale will maximize those companions' combat potential, though they're a little vague about what that actually means here, so more to come, I imagine. But because the rule set is largely the same, I would expect combat to, by and large, be very similar to the way Rogue Traders worked. Now, currently, I would say that's most of like the hard facts we have about the game right this second. I'm sure we'll learn more in the coming days as they share more information. So on the sort of personal thoughts side of this, I'm pretty excited to see what they do with the Inquisition in particular. Like, obviously, there's so much around the Inquisition and the way they interact with people. I mean, mean, their motto is like literally innocence proves nothing. And their main goal is simply to protect the Imperium of Man from the myriad of threats facing them. And in order to do that, they of course rely on just insanely brutal approaches, and a means justify the ends sort of solution there. And given Owlcat's track record for how they've approached moral situations alongside their stories, I'm especially excited then to see what they manage to cook up in terms of the choices we'll have to make here, as I imagine it's going to be more of a choose which of these two horrendous outcomes comes to pass situation, which obviously in the grim darkness of the far future is pretty fitting. But obviously I'm up for it. I think it's especially interesting to see them developing more Rogue Trader DLC alongside development for this game happening at the same time, and I wonder then, because of how similar these two games are, how much crossover there will be in terms of like mechanics and things. But that obviously isn't something we'll know before we actually see some of that stuff in motion. But for today, I think that's pretty much going to wrap up everything to know about this video right this second. As one final note, this is coming to PC, of course, as this is a PC channel, but it is also going to be hitting PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. In the meantime, though, feel free to hit me with your theories about anything that might be happening with this game down in the comment section below. As we learn more information, I'll be sure to cover it, so do expect more videos about this in the future, of course, at the very least in the same vein I did for Rogue Trader. So certainly like, comment, subscribe, and stick around, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.